These words gifted us by the Dalai Lama. 1. To promote human values such as compassion, tolerance, tolerance, contentment, and self-discipline. 2. To promote religious harmony and understanding among the world's major religious traditions. 3. To work to preserve Tibet's Buddhist culture, a culture of peace and non-violence.
We gather today to celebrate the life and mourn the death of Julie Evelyn Ruckstuhl. Julie was a daughter, a sister, a mother, and a grandmother. She was a wife, an ex-wife, and a wife again. She was a graphic... Robin, can you turn it up a little on the pulpit? Good? Yes? All right. She was a graphic designer, which meant she used artistry and precision to ensure people's visions could find reality. She was sharp and funny and complicated and able to light up a room. She was fierce. From my vantage point, at least, she knew exactly the path that she wanted when she heard about her cancer diagnosis. She was willing to go through almost anything to make sure that she was here for her daughter and granddaughter. My name is Nathan. I'm one of the ministers here at Julie's church. Julie was an active member long before the 12 years that I've been at this church. I am a little unclear if she found this church first or if she found the women running the curriculum Cakes for the Queen of Heaven. But it appears to me that that curriculum, and more specifically, the women who went through that course with her, gave her a path of spiritual understanding and a place in this church. When this church decided to ordain me back in 2012, I had dinner with Julie at India's to discuss art for the ordination. She spent a lot of time thinking about it, and she came back with a chalice that was a gold foil print with little dots all around it, intentionally in a circle to bring in the church's circle window. At some point, a couple of years later, we asked her to redo our order of service template. Before that, every service was printed on a different colored paper with a variety of fonts and all of the other things. Julie not only streamlined the structure, but she identified 3 key elements that were needed. One was an emphasis on the circle window and its poem. One was the peace stones and making sure their story was told every week. And the third was the need for more blank space. I could go on and on about the ways that her artistic vision informed this church, including after that awful summer of 2016, the book that she put together, the Great Expectations brochure she put to help this church raise more than $1 million, the flooring choice here, the paint here, all of which was designed to help you get to some level of sanctuary and being able to engage with the spiritual nature of life, but without noticing her work. Does that make sense? I could talk about her passion for this place, not just for her, but because many of the people she cared about deeply are a part of it. She wanted this place to do well. As has always been the case for her, I didn't see her doing this work looking for attention. She did this so the church could better showcase what it was. Shortly before she died, she gave a gift to this church so that it could have an endowment, so that this church could be funded forever, essentially. There are so many angles of what made Julie herself. There is no way we can capture them all in this hour. There's the discussion of how she chose the name Jules for herself, or Juju for herself. For this service, please let her be fully human, Sometimes she would get mad. Sometimes she expected an order that this church and probably the world just could not provide. Every one of us deserves to be remembered for all of our complexity. She should not be defined by what you may consider her faults, nor should she exist independent of them. The fullness of who she was deserves to be told here today. Another thing for you to know is that because Julie's personality cut through the grayness of life and added such color, either through her laugh or the way she would ask questions, this service is intended to be a celebration. You will hear things that may feel out of place at a memorial service. That is us honoring Julie. For as long as Julie has been in this church, I cannot tell you what she believed about God or the afterlife. I know that many of her practices were informed by earth-based spirituality, but I do not know what that means about where she believed her soul is right now. What I do know is that her body has been made up of elements that have existed since the beginning of time. These elements will continue to exist long after all of us have gone into the realm of ancestors and memory. So today, we will laugh, we will cry, we will do our best to tell her story and let her shine through in this hour. Do not look for perfection here. Our goal is to let glimmers of her shine out through each of you. One of the ways we start worship here in this church is by lighting the chalice, and I would invite some members of her family to come forward as we light this. And we will say together the words printed in your order of service. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is the symbol of the power of love. And I invite you to rise for our opening hymn.
My life flows on, bliss song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging, when trillions of flame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
I have a puzzle that was mine when I was 3. I don't know how this escaped my mother's compulsive culling and trashing because there were so many things I wish she had saved. The puzzle's trees had no leaves, maybe it was winter, but the dogs were happy, even though only one got to sit in the doghouse reserved for Spot. 2 dogs had puzzle pieces for their bodies, and the others had puzzle pieces for their backsides with notches that cleverly indicated their tails, I guess. And why were the black lines in the letters slightly off center? These may have been the first design elements I ever considered: asymmetry. To me, all the dogs had personalities. I made up stories about them. I wore the paint off. I made the most of the few toys I had. I've had the puzzle for 63 years, even though it had a piece missing, taped over to let you know to not keep looking for it. I guess I hoped that someday it would mean as much to someone else as it did to me. Ironically, I didn't give it to either my daughter or my granddaughter to play with. The newer puzzles were so much nicer, with little handles to help lift the pieces. And maybe I was afraid of being disappointed if they didn't love it so much. But now I've talked about it. I'm letting it go. Goodbye, pups. You're all 441 in dog years. When I read this to Gary, he said, "You can't throw it away. It's memorabilia. Chelsea will want it." I couldn't believe the minimalist was telling me not to throw something out. I mean, most of what he trips over is memorabilia. A friend of mine lost so many possessions in the Baton Rouge flood of 2016 that she and her husband moved out of state to make sure they wouldn't go through that again. But when we're gone, all of our attachments go from feeling essential in your privileged life to becoming indisputably garbage. Although they can feel to us so necessary to life, they mean nothing when life itself goes on. What remains? There are stories, but I can only remember generalities, no details, of things my dad told me, and memory is a faulty thing. There are inside jokes that can only be shared with a close few. But when those few are down to one, there's no fun in the jokes. They can even make you sad. Is anything not consumed by time? The only thing that could endure, I decided, was words. So I am writing. Spirit of Life, a reflection through this prayerful Unitarian Universalist hymn. As I begin my reflection, I wanted to offer my ongoing thanks and gratitude to Gary, to Chelsea, to Harlow and family for this opportunity to be a part of the memory and celebration of life service for Julie Evelyn Ruckstuhl. Our hymn, number 123, titled Spirit of Life, was written and has been a part of Unitarian Universalist hymn singing for 44 years now. More profound to me is that it was the first Unitarian Universalist hymn I would learn as a part of the young adult and campus ministry I was in out of the University of Wisconsin at Madison campus in 1999. What has been a mystery for me has been how this hymn drew Julie and I into deeper relationship over the last 2 years. I've spent time trying to remember just how and when Julie and I began to sing this song to and with each other almost at every turn over this period of time. When we started to sing it to each other, I was not aware that it would become the prayer I shared at Julie's request, which seemed to follow an ever deepening trajectory of sublime meaning making in the ministry we shared. Specifically, my first recollections of us singing this hymn together were at the last two church auctions she and I would attend. As we all will well remember, Julie dressed. Did Julie dress? Julie dressed to meet and exceed the theme of each year's auction. That is, she would be decked out and on point with colors for the evening, with extra jewelry that expressed her love for herself, her family and friends, and of her commitment to the work of this church. Over the last year and a half, Julie would let me know when her treatment sessions were taking place in Houston. I would be sure to call when I could, and if Julie was not able to answer the phone, I would sing Spirit of Life into her voicemail. When it became clear that the treatment she was engaged in were no longer working, I would pay home visits, and without fail, we would sing the hymn together a few times through. As a minister, there are many times in our lives that the ask of us is to lean in on a specific moment, to engage the sacred rituals of life. One such moment took place last fall on Saturday, October 3rd, 2024 to be exact, was Julie and Gary had been thinking about the possibilities of being married for many years, but the realities of Julie's dance with her cancer did not work out until then. And if memory serves me well, Julie and Gary, in one of their many meaning-making conversations over the last few months of Julie's physical presence in this life, decided, let's get married. With this decision, and having a short window of time when Julie's health and energies were good enough, we held a complete, very intimate wedding ceremony in the living room of their home. Of course, we sang Spirit of Life. As ever, Julie looked like a queen, amen? In some of her favorite colors and jewelry. Gary also looked dapper as well. Julie was surrounded by her art, Janet Sullivan, Gary's best man and his wife, and myself. Within 3 short weeks of their wedding, Julie's health would take its course through her body. I would come over the day before she passed for a visit and to sing Spirit of Life with her, Gary, Janet, and another longtime friend. The next day, after she passed, I would come over again to be with the family and to offer a prayer and to sing. And lastly, on the day we gathered at church's funeral home to say our final goodbyes before her body, yes, her body was cremated, not her essence, we sang again and said a final prayer. Friends, Julie Evelyn Ruckstuhl lived the very lyrics of this prayer, a hymn, if you will. I am nearly certain this is what she would hope for us all. In just a few moments, I will invite us all to sing the hymn through 2 times. The lyrics will be projected onto the wall behind me. The second time through, I invite us to sing it a cappella, if you would, please. Ashe, may it be so. Blessed be, shalom, salam, and amen. Please rise in body or spirit for the singing of Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Again, acapella, please.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
So I will encourage you to think about eulogies less like a chronological telling of someone's story and more like snapshots on who a person is. I don't know if this was intentional or accident, but multiple people have called these eulogies. Look, I like a good wordplay as much as anyone, and this didn't come anywhere from me. The first eulogy is actually from someone who can't be here, but we have a video from her. So if you would play Patsy's video.
Hi, everyone. This is Patsy McGarry sending you all love and light from Magnolia, Texas. I would really love to be there in person with you today to celebrate our precious Julie. But since that is not possible right now, this is the next best thing. Julie and I were BFFs long before BFF became an acronym for Best Friends Forever. We met in our 20s a long, long time ago when we worked together at Louisiana Public Broadcasting in its infancy. We clicked with each other right off the bat and created a nickname for our duo taken from our maiden names, Ruckstuhl and Puckett, thus becoming Ruck and Puck forevermore. Our relationship can be hinted at by words like twin flame, soul sisters, and kindred spirits. I like how John O'Donoghue, in his book Anam Cara, which is a Gaelic phrase meaning soul friend, describes a sacred friendship with a loved one who awakens your life in order to free the wild possibilities within you. That seems to resonate truly for Ruck and Puck. Julie's artistic talent and flair were evident immediately, and I soon learned that her compassion and care for others was at the heart of her life's path also. She was one of the early volunteer counselors who trained to staff the phone, Baton Rouge's first crisis intervention and suicide prevention hotline. She spent many years with tireless devotion to the Richard Ruckstuhl Foundation, the charitable organization her father founded, which benefited many people in need through their grant programs. I felt Julie and I shared a kind of mutual unconditional love where we accepted each other, warts and all. We shared many confidences as young adults, making our ways in the world, and we forgave each other's shortcomings quickly, finding humor in our human frailty much more satisfying than being judgy or holding grudges. I remember when Julie asked me to be her maid of honor at her wedding with Quinn. When it came time in the ceremony for me to take her bouquet and give her the ring, I managed to drop the ring on the floor in the transfer. I scrambled down to the floor to retrieve the ring. I was so embarrassed at my faux pas. And when I rose up to hand it to Julie, She was beaming her gracious, beautiful smile that let me know that everything was okay, and the wedding ceremony just sailed right along. It wasn't too much longer after that, and Chelsea arrived on the scene, and she was dubbed our darling duck to join the Ruck and Puck universe as a welcome playmate. Chelsea delighted everyone she met, and of course she still does. We all know that. Thank you for being the wonderful, creative, loving, and caring person you are, Chelsea. You represent your mom's legacy well, and with many of her qualities we admire, shining through in you too, sweetheart. She loves you so very much and is immensely proud of you, as am I. Julie was always seeking to improve her already very accomplished skills in graphic arts, and she would occasionally go to workshops out of town and add on a few vacation days to explore the location, visiting museums, sightseeing, and enjoying herself in new places. I was living in Chicago in 1993 when one of those conferences was occurring there, and Julie came and stayed with me so we could play a while together after the conference. The synchronicity of this visit was very profound and significant for me because it occurred about a month after my father had passed away. Julie's presence was so very comforting, loving, and reassuring, as you know she can be. She helped me process my grief. This same phenomenon occurred again in 2000 when I was living in Oakland, California, and Julie came to San Francisco to attend a graphic design conference there. It just so happened that I had to have an emergency operation at that time, and there she was, my Anam Kara, my soul friend, who showed up just at the right time to offer me comfort, reassurance, and healing care. Our great reunion of 2013 happened when I moved back south to Texas, and Julie and I enjoyed playdates more frequently as we attended musical concerts and theater performances, visited museums, and all other kinds of fun activities and celebrations, like dancing and drumming at the full moon, drum circles at the Galveston seawall, and chanting, singing, and twirling like dervishes in the earth dance, spiral dance ceremony at the Krishna temple in Houston. I am so grateful that Julie reunited me with my Baton Rouge Cake sisters for the annual Cakes Beach trips. These joyful celebrations offer fabulous food, music performances, dancing of course, creative art projects, and enrichment of all kinds, especially the spiritual sisterhood bonding that is the best soul food of all. The joy in Julie's life was most assuredly and obviously heightened when she and Gary became sweethearts. Their loving bond and devotion to each other was an inspiration to me and many others. I was in the beginning and always will be sincerely happy for them and their amazing love and devotion to each other. This is a gift and true blessing in our world, which we can all appreciate. I recall Julie saying that Gary told her she was a glittering ball of joy, and she was so radiantly happy as she recounted that beautiful sentiment. Her joy was absolutely contagious. When Harlow was born, Julie was elated to be a grandmother and called herself Juju, an apt name for our magical, creative goddess sister friend. And Harlow is so lucky to have our glorious Juju as her grandmother. How thrilling to be introduced to Juju's wonderful world of artful imagination and stimulated by the intellectual curiosity and boundless creativity that is Juju personified. I have no doubt that Harlow, like Chelsea, will carry Juju's inspirational and enduring legacy forward for generations to come. Julie was an impressive problem solver. We relied on her to sort out many of our conundrums. There was never a difficult situation I saw her encounter where she didn't bravely face it head on and apply her marvelous analytical, intellectual, and compassionate skills to finding solutions. Her tenacity and resourcefulness served her well when she received the ocular melanoma diagnosis. She and Gary researched best treatments and entered clinical trials where possible, and she carried on with her signature creativity, humor, generous spirit, and tenacity to the fullest, staying true to her nature throughout the journey. Named Julie Evelyn Ruckstuhl at birth, we knew her by several names: Julie, Jules, Juju, and of course my own dear BFF, Ruck, who I love for eternity and joyfully join our sister when our light shines in the halls of Shambhala. Namaste. Merry meet again. Blessed be.
So one of the requests that Julie's family made is that there be dancing, and I said we didn't need to announce it because invariably, anytime either of us led a service, if we looked in the back, there were two people dancing to the hymns. So our next eulogist is one of those two who reliably danced every time. Janet, would you come share?
Hello. Oh, it's so good to hear your voices. It's good to be here. So I'm giving myself full permission to not look at these notes because I prefer to go off script, and I like to see faces, and I want to feel you. I'm Janet Sullivan. I've been a member of the church since I moved here in 2000 something. Who cares? When I think of Julie, I think of art, generosity, beauty, and sparkles. Because basically Julie is art. She lived her life as art. I see her as beautiful, and I know we all saw her as generous. And if it was up to Julie, Baton Rouge would line and pave their streets with glitter. She was shameless when it came to glitter. These people know. If I had something broken, everyone who knows me know I'm a technical idiot. If something's broken, I'm not going to fix it. If it's a body, fine. If it's emotions, fine. But if it's physical, technical, or glasses, I go to her to fix something. It comes back with glitter all over it to fix my glasses. She was my dear friend, my singing partner, spontaneous singing, spontaneous dancing, whether we're at church, in the car, on the phone. We would scheme together for hours, like partners in crime, partners in art crime. Like, how can we make something cooler, interesting, and better? So together we did things that we couldn't do by ourselves, like the Fear Less, Love More t-shirts. Yeah. And the Steve Project, the letters to Steve. Hundreds of people wrote farewell letters to Steve, in secret but in public, in that room right there. And Julie had to take it a step further. Not good enough. She goes, we're going to be making envelopes. I was like, what? How do you make an envelope? Well, she had like little cottage sessions. So people came over to make envelopes out of beautiful pieces of ripped out wrapping paper, tissue paper, and magazines. She took it a step further all the time, beyond what I could think of. She made everything beautiful. She left her mark on this church. She left her mark on me. Why am I dressed in green? We all know green is not my color, but green is her color, right? It has to be that dopamine dressing. And the dopamine dressing, what that really means, she taught me. Dopamine dressing means you dress to change your mood. If you need a cup of coffee or a Prozac, Go to your closet, get the most obnoxious, happiest thing you can find, put it on, and oh, we're not done. Put on a pin, put on a hat, put glitter on your something. And then I'm wearing sneakers so that I don't fall again. So I have permission from Julie to wear sneakers to her service today, just so you know. Snap, snap. And you know, we feel it, like under our feet, you look down, there's Julie. This is her influence. Like Nathan said, she's everywhere. And Patsy talked about this. She's a problem solver. She was, in some ways, we were so similar of kind of like quietly percolating, waiting for that opportunity to pounce. Like, just find the right pounce partner. But what's different between me and her is I'm not a planner. I'm not a strategist, but she was. And she could spend 4 hours on the internet and solve a problem for the entire congregation or find the most interesting, like, alternative treatment for herself to try. She could find that. I would spend 4 hours on the internet and be more confused. But she was very focused and determined. She had an exceptional brain, really interesting. And the one silver lining I saw from that cancer diagnosis is it gave her the opportunity of planning. She planned for the end. I don't know that I know that I couldn't do that, but she did. She made sure the church was taken care of. Gary, the girls. And she finished her art projects from when she was in her 20s and 30s. She had time to finish her work on earth. And every time I came over in the last few years, there'd be another art project laid out. What are you doing, Jules? Oh, you know, I'm working on this thing I did in my 30s. And so, like, even in the living room, there's an old painting she did, and she painted over it to update it, make it current. And it used to be a picture of her ex-husband and herself, but she painted Gary's face on top of her ex-husband, and she remodeled herself, and they changed their clothes. Like, she really had time to plan and finish her work. She's so funny. And those of us who've been in her house, her home is one giant art studio. I mean, Gary, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no room untouched by, like, project areas. There were 6 rooms in there, and maybe 5 out of the 6 are project rooms. And so those of us at church, if I needed to go on stage and do a comedy show, where am I going? Julie's dressing me. I'll drive the 20 minutes to her house. She's going to dress me, and she'll tell me, absolutely not, don't wear it. She goes, why don't you try this? If you need a wig, she'll go, I have one. You might say, no, but I need a green wig. I also have that. That's what she would. She's got wigs. I didn't even know this. I've known her for like 17 years. I didn't know about the upstairs attic until last year. I climbed up there. It is organized. It's beautiful. It's clean. It doesn't look like an attic. She could have dressed 5 Mardi Gras crews and still have leftovers. I've never seen anything like that. She was so organized. And she dressed me through the last probably 10 years of my life. And as she was getting sicker and weaker and not able to drive as much, and as I was getting busier with work, I couldn't see her as often. But I think to myself, like, I know how close I am with somebody when I think of who is in my house. Who comes to my house? Who's in my car? How many times am I in Julie's car? And at the end, no. Like, no, not with the driving. Gary, thank you for driving her everywhere. Thank you so much for that. But I think of how many times I'm in Julie's house. All the time. And she and I differed on our spiritual beliefs. I'm a little more out there, and she's very grounded, scientific, and let's research the hell out of it until we find that answer, and she always did. So my gift to her as a friend was to not talk about my frou-frou spiritual stuff. That was my gift to her. So I would talk to Patsy about it. And then Julie hated when people were like, well, I'll just pray for you and we'll pray for a miracle. She's like, I don't want a miracle. I want to live fully now. I want to live with what is in front of me. And she was strong with that belief. So we made a lot of really obscene and offensive cancer jokes together. Like, so offensive, we would do it in private, like hoping nobody would hear us, because that made her happy. And in my book, like, I don't want to bring someone to another side or another belief. I want her to be happy where she is. So we would prank each other. I tricked her into going into a big comedy club. I tricked her into going on stage for the first time. She still doesn't understand what I did. She went on stage at the Silly Rabbit when she wasn't ready, but she killed. She killed is a good thing. She killed. She was incredible. And she pranked me by, after my divorce, I was like, oh, dating's terrible. I'm so lonely. So what did she do? She made you know those 6-foot body pillows, huge body pillows? She put Gary's, white t-shirt on it, pair of his boxer shorts, and then she went to some printing shop and printed on fabric Ryan Gosling's face, made it into a pillow, and she sewed it on top of the body pillow. Like, that's how good of a friend she was. She knew what I need. I needed a man who was no trouble. That was perfect. She was really great. It wasn't long after she passed away that I was on a plane back to New York, and I'm dragging my luggage down 8th Avenue, and it was dark out, and I felt this like wave of sadness, like this huge. I don't really let myself, when crisis happens, I'm present. I don't have my feelings till later. So it wasn't until, walking down 8th Avenue, I could feel like how much I missed her. And I just let myself cry, and I reached into my bag to call Julie to tell her about my friend who died. And it was fucking Julie. Like, I'm calling Julie to cry about Julie. That is meta, and that is funny, and it is sad, and it is just hysterical to me. But like, that's when I let the wave hit me. And who do I want to talk to about it? It's Julie. So, we're all gathered here today to honor her life and really celebrate her. But this is not the only day we do it. And this is the promise I made her an hour before she passed, when she couldn't talk, and her arms were stiff, and we were alone, and she couldn't talk. And I said what she wanted to hear, and I knew what she wanted from me because we talked about it. So once I said it out loud, there were like 3 things I said out loud to her, and she just was stiff, and like her eyes got big, and she was trying to talk to me like, yes, like she was jumping out. And one of the things was, I said, I promise I will help keep your name alive at church and in our circles, and that you will not be forgotten, because that's what she wanted. She was so concerned about not that people move on. She was concerned about her not being a part of it. So I think underneath our feet, we look down, there's Julie. We look at each other. We're wearing her clothes. We're wearing her jewelry. I know all of you have some of her jewelry in your car console. Like, you take your earring, oh, I'm gonna wear these today. I have a whole selection. New York, Baton Rouge, the car, they're everywhere. And I encourage you to keep talking to her. Talk about her. And I think, what does Julie do to solve a problem? Dopamine dressing. Stop your whining, go to your closet, pick out the most happy, obnoxious, eye-catching thing, because it's not just for you. It doesn't just change your mood, it changes everyone who sees you. It's reciprocal. That's the beauty of it. It's the Prozac that works both ways. You know what I mean? It's a gift to everyone else because they will treat you accordingly. So dress in some crazy lipstick. Go do it. Go dance. And all of us can keep her name alive. I don't have a big finale, but I do know that I will reach for my phone occasionally, and I will let myself call her. I know the phone's disconnected. I know. And if you guys have an urge, reach out and call each other. Tell a Julie story. And I know what she wanted because I did make her another promise that we would have a Julie party. So sometime in the near future, we'll have a Julie party where your most flamboyant outfits, trade outfits, will do art. Pam, you're coming. Someone's got to spearhead this stuff because it's not me. I'm not a planner. I'm a gatherer. So thank you so much for letting me speak. I love you, Julie, and I love you guys.
One of the earliest stories that Steve would tell me about Julie, when she worked on the Great Expectation, it was one of the Capital Drive brochures, there was one error she found in there. And Steve never could find it. I don't know where it is, but she knew it was there. And accidentally, but I guess on purpose, there was one typo in the entire order of service in that honor. So next is Nora Maria Fuller, if you would come.
I'm glad that you planted an error there, just for her. So I speak today not only as a friend of her daughter, Chelsea, but also as someone who was really profoundly touched by Julie's presence. She was not only a devoted mother and grandmother, but also, for me, a spiritual guide, a seeker of justice, and a really brilliant artist. One of the things that I learned about her pretty quickly was that she was the doting daughter of Dick. He was a philanthropist, and he had these values of giving and investing for the greater good that took really deep root in her. So she carried forward that legacy, and she used that sharp mind of hers and very generous soul, wielding these talents to bring what I think is a world where equity and compassion can grow. She found kindred spirits here in the UU community, and I think this was really important because she turned from her Catholicism to a place where inclusivity was championed, where we could celebrate the worth of every person and explore the divine or the science of our existence in many forms. So her role as a cornerstone in the Cakes program was one thing that made a huge impact on me. So she got together everybody in 2020 on Zoom, which allowed it to be both me and my mom in this program to explore spiritual history, to think about these hard-won truths of us women living in a patriarchal world. And she held space for us to wrestle with our stories, reclaim our power, and heal. Julie's love of life was never dimmed by the hardships that she faced. So about 10 years ago, she traveled to New York City to get treatment for the ocular melanoma. And she filled her days with arts and culture, laughter, and curiosity. She brought us along for the experience. I'll never forget this trip with Chelsea, Julie, Logan, little baby Harlow, and me. We saw this iconic piece of art, Judy Chicago's Dinner Party. It's a triangle-shaped table with place settings that honor powerful women. And then we went to a play called Constellations. It was a very profound 2-actor play. It waxes poetic about cosmology, and it contained brief scenes that would be repeated, but with different outcomes. So in one scene, we learn that the main character is forgetting words, has trouble typing, and then is found to have a brain tumor. So the play meditates on multiple lives and infinite universes around this story. It really mirrored my experiences with Julie. It was open to this expansive, full of possibility world that weaves meaning in, even with sorrow. So Julie and I did not often agree on things. One of our biggest conflicts was Harlow's birthday party when she was 3. She had this bright pink cake, I was icing it, and I wanted to write Happy Birthday Harlow on it. But Harlow wanted it to say Harlow. And she didn't want us to sing the happy birthday song. So I felt like, well, we have to teach these traditions. But Julie really advocated for Harlow. She she championed Harlow's voice, even when we sang like "Row, row, row your boat." And she always believed, like, this is such a capsule moment for me, because she was honoring this 3-year-old's autonomy, even in these moments. She reminded me, and I think all of us, that we have to respect each other's self-determination, and that that's a pretty radical act of love. The huge exciting thing about doing the Cakes curriculum in 2020 was that Chelsea finally got to do it, and she always wanted to go on the Cakes trip. In 2023, that was one of our trips, but we had 2 unforgettable trips. So we went on this bucket list trip to Alaska. She trained for it. She walked her neighborhood to build her strength, and I admired that determination. We had this one magnificent day where we rode horses, and then we kayaked. Some of us kayaked. Some of us got towed. We explored a glacier on 4-wheeler ATVs. And then, another time we laughed like little kids on a Segway. She loved Segway trips in the cities that she visited. We took a boat tour, and maybe this is my fault. We all took anti-nausea medicines that maybe made us all loopy, but Julie most of all. And in this haze, she was the sweetest, most gentle person, and her nature just shone through, even in delirium. So Julie had this unique gift of transforming ordinary days into sacred memories. She taught us that there's room for joy, no matter what. And even in uncertainty, we should be and can still be curious. So earlier this year, I returned for the Cakes Beach trip, and I was kind of getting on the road, but I was lamenting that I hadn't seen any dolphins, which were her favorite thing. As soon as I spoke this wish aloud to Janet, we started to see dolphins jumping. And they come across this way, and then there were thousands of them. It just kept going on and on and on. And then they turned around and went back in front of us. It was the most beautiful moment, and it felt so much as if Julie was saying, just don't go yet. Be in this moment. There's always wonder to behold. I think that wonder is kind of what Julie gave all of us. We're so blessed by her love, her leadership, her friendship. And I want not just to say goodbye to Julie, but thank you. I want to carry these kinds of moments forward with me. And who so more than my best friend Chelsea will carry forward her legacy. So she's going to speak next.
And our last eulogy today, be Chelsea.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. We've heard Patsy and Janet and Nora's perspectives on my mom. And while she was so many things to so many people, she was to me first and always my mom. She was a creative force, a complex and thoughtful soul, a teacher in every sense of the word, and the kind of person who made the world not only more beautiful, but more bearable, more fun, and more meaningful just by being in it. My mom was a planner, as we have heard. She lived with intention and passion and a deep sense of purpose, and she was funny. We shared the same sense of humor, an irreverent, observant kind of wit that she never lost even in her hardest moments. She was the kind of person who would burst into song and dance at a moment's notice. The kind of person who would hide a pepperoni slice around the house for 2 years as part of an ongoing game. We did this. The kind of person who kept a shriveled black banana on the dashboard of her car for years, just because the banana was really a totem for her. It's hard to sum up someone like that with words, but anyone who knew Juju knew that she was unlike anyone else. She loved deeply, gave generously, and expressed herself in every shade of color, every mode of creativity, and every spark of playfulness. Juju was an artist and a connector. Someone who didn't just create for herself, but she helped others discover the joy and the confidence of their own creativity. So she would initiate art projects that I thought I would never be good at. And then with her encouragement, I was surprised how much I enjoyed the process and how proud I was of the work. Whether through making jewelry, facilitating group craft making, or coming up with graphic designs, she turned ordinary things into sacred expressions. And she didn't just see the beauty in the world, she insisted on it. She was deeply devoted to her community. She was a proud leader in her women's religious education group, Cakes for the Queen of Heaven, which, as Nora mentioned, I always wanted to go on the beach trip. And as a younger child, I remember my mom telling me every week she was going to Cakes class. And I was so confused because I was sure these meetings had something to do with baking, but my mom never cooked unless she had to. She was an involved member of the Unitarian Church here, and she was passionate about social justice and human rights. She adored her dad, Dick, and she lovingly carried on his legacy. And in challenging situations, we looked to him for guidance, and we would ask ourselves, what would Dick do? She kept a bobblehead of him next to her workspace, just as a reminder of his wisdom and his problem-solving spirit. Juju loved to share and experience art with others. In particular, she loved going to art installations, museums, and the theater. I grew up going to plays with her, which was something that I didn't always appreciate at the time, but now I treasure deeply. And that was Juju. She was always sowing seeds of appreciation, connection, and wonder. She looked at the world with curiosity and optimism. She found meaning in color, in texture, in patterns, in laughter, and in friendship. She shared interesting things she'd find, and she wasn't afraid to be silly. She had a cherished collection of rocks and shells that had faces in them. And so we would occasionally go through them and point out and marvel at each of the different faces that we could find. When she was told her cancer had become metastatic, she responded not with fear, but with inspiration. She channeled her creative energy into writing and performing a stand-up comedy routine about cancer and death, Janet said a lot of the jokes were offensive, but they were so funny. She's so funny. And she re-envisioned old art, both her own art and others' art from long, long ago, and she turned it into something new. And after COVID, she took up dopamine dressing, putting together bright, bold pattern outfits that made her feel good to wear. And she dressed up even if she wasn't going anywhere. She would just get dressed up to sit around the house. She brought color into our world, even when the world felt gray. On my fridge, I keep a list of advice that she wrote for me. It's her voice, her heart, her wisdom, distilled into simple words that I return to again and again. I look at it all the time. And each statement really resonates with me, and I wanted to share it with you all. Number 1 is go for the flow, not just with it. Number 2, don't care too much what people think unless it could come back to bite you in the butt. 3, be grateful. 4, give what you can when you can. And that was an important caveat. Number 5, give it your best shot, then don't obsess about it. 6, think it through. 7, do something creative. And she first wrote be creative, but she scratched it out because she realized this is too much of an ask. Turning creativity into an action makes it accessible. Number 8, don't whine. Number 9, nobody on their deathbed ever said, I wish I had worked more. 10, never stop learning. And number 11, don't tempt fate. This was how she lived and how I try to live now because of her. I miss her terribly, and I always will. But I also feel her in every decision that I make using the wisdom that she gave me, in every problem that I solve by asking, what would Dick or Juju do? In every burst of laughter at something delightfully weird, in every moment of creative joy that makes life worth living. She loved being my mom, even when it was hard. And as a grandmother, she showed up with the same creative, joyful, determined energy that defined every other part of her life. And she loved Harlow with her whole heart. And she adored Gary, her life partner and husband, whose acts of love and service meant everything to her. She told me she wasn't afraid of death. Her main concern was being here for me and for Harlow. If I could say one thing to her now, it would be this: don't worry. You did more than enough. You taught me how to problem solve, how to live fully, and how to discover and create joy and fun in this life. And I promise to carry that forward. Thank you, Juju, for the advice, the laughter, the art, the stories, the pepperoni games, and the love. You gave us so much. I love you, Mom. We've got it from here.
So when we were planning this service, there's a hymn they asked that we sing. And it's a little weird. And we're doing it for 2 reasons. One is how weird it is for what we're about to do in May kind of speaks to the way that Julie came in the room and made space for the world as it could be. And also in the chorus, every year I was told, I never noticed this, but on Christmas Eve, she would nudge Chelsea on the Excelsi Deus part. So, for this next hymn, I invite you to rise for the first time probably in your life to sing Angels We Have Heard on High.
sweetly singing all the plains and the mountains in reply echo back their joy strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Shepherds, why this jubilee? Why these songs of happy cheer? What great brightness did you see? What glad tidings did you hear? Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. See him in a manger laid, whom the angels praise above. Mary, Joseph, lend your aid, while we raise our hearts in love. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Would you join me in a spirit of meditation or prayer? Spirit of life, Holy One, Gaia, Universe, God. As we start to bring this amazing celebration of life and things falling on the floor, be with us as grief has no pattern, it has no time, it is a necessary emotion, and is not linear. Let it come when it comes, and laugh and bring in color that Julie would have us be. As we prepare our hearts for what comes next without her physical presence, know that whenever you're shining upon a good piece of graphic art, Julie probably would have made it better. With all that love and energy shown on this day for this amazing soul of a woman, go out and make art, joy, love, especially in the hardest times. May it be so. Blessed be. Shalom and amen.
In this church, we usually close memorials with this litany. Would you join me and respond with, "We will remember her"? In the rising of the sun and its going down, in the blowing of the wind and the cold of winter, the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, the blueness of sky and the heat of summer, in the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, when you notice a typo, when you dance when no one else realizes they should. So long as we live, she too will live. Julie, Jules, Juju, Evelyn Ruckstuhl. Blessed this earth for 70 years. She brought joy, hope, kindness, art. And after a long and tenacious battle with cancer, her body has given all that it can. She was cremated. She has already been memorialized on those mentioned beach trips by some of the women in this church who shared a spiritual connection with her. Some of her ashes have been spread at various theaters that were meaningful to her, at varying levels of covertness. I'm going to pause in my remarks here to say I do not believe in ghosts, and I do not believe that people's spirits stick with us. And I have been at an ashes scattering where a bird, for a birder, would not stop screaming the entire service. I have never been at a service where 3 different things fell out of the pulpit.
Never in my 16 years, never.
And we had planned to scatter her ashes, some of her ashes, after this service. And I do not believe in divine intervention in this way, and the weather was supposed to stop raining at noon. We are not meant to scatter her ashes today. They will be scattered, right? Or we're going to do it? No. I don't know why this is. It just is today. So her ashes will be scattered later at the Peace Stones, which were named Fear Less and Love More. Many of you have seen the shirt that she designed that had that label. So her ashes will at some point be scattered there. After this, we will have a reception where I encourage you to please go and tell stories of her and celebrate her in the ways that she would want. Also, if you hear music, I would encourage you to dance. That is how she will be memorialized. Amen, and may you know peace. Let's sing this closing hymn. I invite you to rise.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from a rolling ocean, still my dry heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions. And the beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, great the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step. Amen. May you know peace.